I think we'll start with some T-Bone Slim songs. And so the way I've been approaching this music, T-Bone Slim and the other wobbly songwriters, what they were known for was taking popular melodies that everybody knew, and they would rewrite the lyrics, to fit those melodies. And that way, the lyrics that they, obviously the things they're talking about, very much like Yuriy said, are the, trying to speak the truth about the situation, mostly about where poor people, immigrants, it's been a discovery for me because I was not, I didn't learn a lot about the labor movement growing up, and I think that it's noticeably absent maybe from the education and, up through high school, and I didn't learn about it in college either, but, it's mind-blowing when you see some of the practices that were going on in the free world, America, and that people are being... Actually, here, I'll share, right off the bat, I'll just share, this is a poem of T-Bone Slim's. This is called Emblem of the Boss. I had most of this one memorized, but not quite the whole thing, so I'll just read it. In vain our brave forefathers fought to free us from King George, for shoeless toes still Sarapeth snows of Frozen Valley Forge. And still we have an autocrat that rules the factory gate and sponges on production of machine, man, beast, and state. A little here, a little there, they take a heavy toll, and every slave shall bow a knave and live upon a dole. For are they not industrial kings and self-anointed rulers that skim the cream from life's sweet dream, a row of charming foolers? A million slaves they did import, with tales of untold riches, that lies around and can be found in hills and highway ditches. And million native sons were then declared as null and void. Their ancient dads, now transient lads, were labeled unemployed. 100,000 fortunes from our backs those pirates wrung. It wrecks belief how each such thief escaped of being hung. And still today they smirk and pray and prime the wheezing pump. It's such a lark to peel the bark from good old Uncle Chump. A raft of wealth those plutes purloin, just like they did for ages. And poor must pine, endure, and whine, and mourn for unpaid wages. But look at here, industrial seer, no bogeyman or ogress can confiscate our daily bait to pay for future's progress. A fair day's pay for fair day's work, but sanctifies the thief. A contract made okays the raid and marks the union weak. And children stare in wan despair at leaders and their chinning, for all the cliques in politics subscribe to labor skinning. Mark well, O parasites, this rule, 'tis life you have begrudged, and even so as slave you scrapped, so you too will be judged. With all your might and all your stealth you can't subdue the world, and destitute shall not salute the black flag you unfurled. So that's a T-Bone Slim poem that was sitting, I guess, in my great-grandmother's attic for a while. And yeah,
waiting for you.
holding on to it. But back to the songs, what they would do is they would rewrite the lyrics to these melodies so that the protest songs could be handed out in pamphlets to workers, en masse, and that you didn't have to have an education in music, know how to read music or anything. All you had to know was know that song that everybody had heard, and then you could just start singing the melodies. So that's some of his songs, were written to these melodies, and other ones I just have the lyrics, or we just have the lyrics to them, and we don't necessarily know how he would have played the songs. As of right, I'm looking, but as of right now, there's not. We're not aware of any recordings that were ever made of him. There is a recording of a woman named Aunt Molly Jackson who sang a song. Actually, it's funny that Yuriy was talking about Fat Bone Slim, because there's this whole name thing. There's been it's a controversy for people who are interested in T-Bone Slim, which I'm hoping there will be more of. But a folk singer named Aunt Molly Jackson wrote a song in the 30s called Crossbones Scully. And it's about basically a guy who's starving and desperate and hasn't had a place to sleep hadn't had anything to eat, can't get a job, and he sees some rich big shot walking down the street, and he just punches him and takes his clothes and his wallet and his watch, and then as he's just walking away, the police see him with this nice top hat on, and then they see his shoes or something like that. And but so it's this song that she wrote, and it's funny because they called it Crossbones Scully, but there's been people have debated whether it was about T-Bone Slim or not, even though Aunt Molly Jackson has only ever said it's about T-Bone Slim. It's kind of a funny thing. Like, she's always said that her brother named it Crossbones Scully, and she says, this is, about T-Bone Slim. He told me this story, and she was quite a character, Aunt Molly Jackson as well. But anyways, so this song of his that I'm going to start with is a song of his that's in the Newberry Library in Chicago. They've got an archive of his tunes, really an archive of just his work in general, actually. And this one's called Resurrection. I came across this song, and I just really, the lyrics in it I really enjoyed. Maybe I'll say the lyrics after I play the tune. Man that once drank at a bar, hard by a churchyard grave, when evening shadows fell bizarre, he staggered on his way. Right through the graveyard's ghostly air, his soul moved on in waves. Among the dim gray headstones there, he weaved among the graves. Grave diggers, they had sunk a hole for those who can't behave. And when our hero onward stole, he stepped into the grave. And there he slept in peace profound till after break of day. And crumbling sand there did abound upon his mortal clay. In stark surprise he rubbed his eyes and said in mournful tone, don't other corpses deign to rise, but mine alone, alone. Well, the barkeep thought it was a joke, straight from the churchyard bed. He failed to understand the soak was risen from the dead. So that one, the lyrics, I'll just say them quickly, just because the way I always end up doing that song is it's kind of, there's a lot of musical instrumental space between the lyrics, but it's man that once drank at a bar, hard by a churchyard gray. When evening shadows fell bizarre, he staggered on his way. Right through the graveyard's ghostly air, his soul moved on in waves. Among the dim gray headstones there, he weaved among the graves. Grave diggers, they had sunk a hole for those who can't behave. And when our hero onward stole, he stepped into the grave. And there he slept in peace profound till after break of day. Because, I mean, he's kind of drunk, you know. In crumbling sand there did abound upon his mortal clay. In stark surprise he rubbed his eyes and said in mournful tone, "Don't other corpses deign to rise, but mine alone, alone." Well, the barkeep thought it was a joke, straight from the churchyard bed. He failed to understand the soak was risen from the dead. You know? So, I thought that was a pretty cool song for, I mean, he wrote that back in the 30s, it seems like. And it's got a bit of a journeyman vibe about it to me, you know. And I love this image of, you know, this kind of, you know, this the idea of these, you know, addicts and drunks, all these, you know, they're not very, it's, you know, we have an addiction to money in our culture, and, you know, that's generally, in popular culture, just lauded, you know, I mean, it's great, get as much as you can, you know, but addictions, alcohol and these things, they're very, you know, there's so much shame, and oftentimes they're really, I think there is economic, you know, there's economic, social issues that are going on, and certainly T-Bone Slim was, you know, living in times and in communities that were really struggling with all that. So that's the first tune, and now I'll go ahead and do another T-Bone Slim song. So that one, and then this one, I don't know what the melodies are that he wrote. So Resurrection and this song I'm about to do for you now, I just, I might find out one day, but as far as I know, Resurrection was never, I don't know that it was never published anywhere. So as far as I know, I'm the only person that's played it besides him, which is kind of a special thing for me, you know? And this next one is called Weary Years. This is also a song from the Newberry Library. This one I think I need a microphone on. Okay, so here's Weary Years by T-Bone Slim. Sing me a song of
tale of a heartbroken wife, long weary years. And show me around to the graves in our fen. Take me again to the hovels of men. Let me regale with the slave in our pen, long weary years. Oh, weary years. Sing me a song of the torment of hell, long weary years. Tell me the things that no tongue cares to tell, long weary years. And show me the sound where the silences swell, down where 'tis always too late to rebel. Let me commune with the numbers and dwell, long weary years. Weary years. Of a kingdom of fear, long weary years. And tell me the tale of these men in the clear, long weary years. Picture the pallor, no smile comes to cheer. Show me indeed our most damnable gear, and say them the word which these men wait to hear, long weary years. Oh, weary years.
How about you want to try one together?
Okay.
How about we do the one, is G good still? The one we
He's
did?
good, he's good.
Okay.
We'll see how we.
We'll see. Alright, so this one's a song that I wrote. It's on. Actually, Yuriy and I both have CDs available back here. Yuriy has quite a number of CDs, actually. I have one. And so you're welcome to come up and talk to us afterwards. And if you feel like taking any music home for you, it's available.
In time for Christmas, I should add.
In time for Christmas, yes, right. Just in time. And there will be a donation basket back there too for whenever you are leaving. If you feel called to make a donation, we appreciate any support.
For the kitties.
There'll be Christmas kittens back there. Well, why don't we do this? Yeah, we'll do this one, and then maybe I'll do this last T-Bone Slim one, and then let's finish it out with
Wonderful.
something from the Kobzar tradition.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a song that I wrote about 2 years ago exactly. Tomorrow is the anniversary of my grandfather's death, and he was a minister of music in the Baptist church in South Carolina. Although, for a Southern Baptist, he was fairly liberal, which I'm not really super big on Democrats or Republicans, to be honest, but actually something Yuriy said about the left and the right made me think of, I was reading Leonard Cohen's last book, The Flame, and there was a line in there that says, "It's torn on the right and it's torn on the left, and it's torn in the center, which few can accept." I think that's an interesting thing to think about, but in any case, yeah, so this is my grandfather, a little bit more liberal than a lot of Southern Baptists, perhaps. Actually, my father just told me earlier today, he was mentioning that I used to sing "I'm proud to be an American" when I was a kid. You know, that nationalism thing, it runs strong in schools still, I guess, or at least it did when I was a kid. But the way I would sing it was, "I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm right." Instead of "where at least I know I'm free." You know? And in America, I mean, let's make America right again, you know? I mean, but apparently my grandfather heard me say something like, "I want to shake George Bush's hand." You know, this is the first George Bush, and I guess this is when I was 8 years old, and I remember having that thought, you know, because I don't know, the presidents, you just think, you know, you're a child and you think they're, you know, they're good. Those are the good guys. You know, if they're president, they got to be a good guy. And my grandfather said, apparently, that he said, I don't trust George Bush." You know, to my 8-year-old self. And I don't trust him now either. I mean, even if he's dead, I don't trust him. Anyways, so this is a song in honor of my grandfather. You told me once, by the fire's light, "Take care, my son, keep this flame alive." Then you were gone, without a trace, save for this song and thy holy name. And I loved you like a river loves the sea. So shall it be, till the day my broken heart shall be released. Our fortunes fell beneath the tree. I know it well, your suffering. I've seen the truth, I have no doubt. I touched your wound, knelt before your crown.
like a river longs the sea. So shall it be till the day my broken heart shall be released. I hear the bells that you still ring. I know the hymn your daughters sing. Thy will be done by the fire's light to make us one when the sun shall rise. And I love you like a mountain loves the sky. I shall abide till the day my soul must leave this world behind. Till the day my soul must leave this world behind. Till the day my soul must leave this world behind.
Much better today.
Okay. So this last one is of the T-Bone Slim section here. It's his most well-known song that's out there in the public. It's called The Popular Wobbly. Although I call it Wild Over Me. That's the refrain in it. And it just makes more sense to me for whatever reason. But no offense to any old-time wobblies that might take issue with it. And no offense that I've also changed the music to it dramatically. Because I just felt that, well, again, like, you know, the Wobblies are taking the songs that exist and rewriting the lyrics. And so a lot of what I'm doing with T-Bone Slim is I'm taking his lyrics, which I think are quite powerful. And very interesting to think about someone who was he was born 2 years after his parents arrived from Finland. Born into a Finnish community. Ashtabula was called Finntown, USA. You know, that he would, he had a mastery over the English language that I think is really quite spectacular. And I'm happy to see that I've been collaborating with some academics, and there's starting to be more, part of it is that his materials all becoming available at the same time. It's just kind of bizarre. Within a couple weeks of my discovering the archive that my mother here had been stewarding, the Newberry Library in Chicago had bought the only other archive that's known to exist of his original writings. And maybe they did that about a year or two ago. But within a couple weeks of when I discovered who he was and this family connection, they had put it all up online so that you could just download it all. And I was like, well, this is great. Now I got all of this stuff. So I've been, taking his lyrics and rewriting the music, the melodies, and the chords that feel appropriate to me, that feel like they capture the, what I feel from his poetry and from his language. So this is my version of that song, The Popular Wobbly. I'm as mild-mannered as can be, and I've never done them any harm that I can see. But on me they put a ban, and they threw me in the can. They go wild, simply wild over me. They accuse me of rascality,
can't see why they always pick on me. I'm as gentle as a lamb, but they take me for a ram. They go wild, simply wild over me. Oh, the bull, he went wild over me. And he held his gun where everyone could see. He was breathing rather hard when he saw my Union card. He went wild, simply wild over me. Then the judge, he went wild over me. And I plainly saw we never could agree. So I let the man obey what his conscience had to say. He went wild, simply wild over me. Then the jailer, he went wild over me. And he locked me up and threw away the key. Yes, it seems to be the rage, so they keep me in a cage. They go wild, simply wild over me. They go wild, simply wild over me. I'm referring to the bedbug and the flea. They disturb my slumber deep, and I murmur in my sleep. They go wild, simply wild over me. Will the roses grow wild over me? When I'm gone into the land that is to be, when my soul and body part in the stillness of my heart, will the roses grow wild over me? When my soul and body part in the stillness of my heart, will the roses grow wild over me?
Thank you. Thank you. And, T-Bone Slim, I hope the roses are growing wild over him. He was found drowned in the Hudson River in 1942. He was buried on Hart's Island, just off the, offshore from New York City, which is I think about a 1.5 mile long stretch of land that has been used for a lot of purposes, nothing too pleasant. I think it was a Civil War prison first. At some point it was a lunatic asylum and some sort of boys reformatory place, a tuberculosis, kind of colony there where they were keeping people that had tuberculosis. And mostly, though, it's been used as a mass grave. There's been over a million people that have been buried there over the past 150 years. It's actually, for the first time in 2015, they allowed family members to start coming out there to visit if family members wanted to go to the place where their relatives are buried. I mean, you can't really get it too specifically, but they have these trenches, where they bury people. And it's part of the Rikers Island complex, and which I believe is being sued and is coming apart. So we'll see what happens with it. But I'd love to go out there and plant some roses. I think that would be pretty great if to be able to do that. just to say, yeah, to this day, there's still, I believe they've got ferries going out there once or twice a week, and they bring prisoners who are paid 50 cents an hour to bury, these mostly poor people, people who have fallen through the cracks somehow. I mean, there's all sorts of, there's actually a Heart Island project that's been started, and that's collecting stories of people who were buried there. And there's, oftentimes people don't realize that that's where their relatives ended up. And it's a little bit sketchy too, that there could be some ways of getting rid of some bodies that perhaps, may have been not so, I guess you've got all these prisoners. Rikers is not a very pleasant place, I don't think. And the woman I spoke to at the Heart Island Project said that, that there's some dark stuff there. I think she used the word disappeared, that there's some people have been disappeared there. But in any case, thank you, Yuriy, for playing that with me.